30. I will go ahead. Open up the typical prompt that we are all used to. I think we've been meeting virtually for about a year now at this point, so I think everybody's pretty used to this. And we'll stay tuned on if and when that's going to change. But this meeting tonight is being recorded and broadcast on YouTube. The meeting is still being held virtually in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and due to the Wayne County Public Health Executive Order that we are following as Van Buren Township. So tonight's agenda is a really simple one compared to some of the heavy lifting that our Planning Commission has done recently. By simple, I just mean that there's one action item for the Planning Commission as opposed to several. It's still an important topic, but so there will be minutes, and then the only new business item being a site plan amendment to the Country Walk subdivision architectural models provided by Upland Homes Builders, and then discussion items and updates. So with that being the format of tonight's agenda, I'd like to turn this over to our chair, Carol Thompson, to take it from here.
Thanks, Director Powers. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Charter Township of Van Buren Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, May 26, 2021. We'll start with the roll call, please. Ms. Harmon?
Jeff Jar.
Here.
Brian Cullen.
Here.
Brian Kelly.
Here.
Medina Atchison.
Here.
Sherry Budd.
Here.
Carol Thompson.
Here. Thank you. We have an agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the agenda.
Thanks, Mr. Dar. Support?
Support.
Mr. Atkinson. And a roll call vote, please.
Brian Cullen.
Yes.
Brian Kelly.
Yes.
Medina Atchison.
Yes.
Sherry Budd.
Yes.
Jeff Jar.
Yes.
Carol Thompson.
Yes. Thank you. The agenda is approved. We also have minutes from our regular meeting of May 12th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Madam Chair, I move to approve the meeting minutes as submitted.
Thanks.
Support, Bud.
Support, Commissioner Budd. And a roll call vote, please.
Medina Atchison.
Yes.
Sherry Budd.
Yes.
Brian Kelly.
Yes.
Brian Cullen.
Yes.
Jeff Jar.
Yes.
Carol Thompson.
Yes. Minutes approved, agenda approved. We'll move right into new business. Our first item is Upland Homes Country Walk Site Plan Amendment. The applicant, Upland Homes, is requesting an amendment to the approved Country Walk site plan for revised single-family architectural elevations. The unfinished Country Walk subdivision is the subject of this request, and the development is located on the east side of Martinsville Road, north of Savage Road. We'll start first with a presentation by Director Power.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for the introduction of the case. I will start this case by just reminding the Planning Commission that this is the kind of request that you review periodically. Van Buren Township has several significant site condominium and planned residential developments and other subdivision developments that may not be site condominiums, but maybe platted subdivisions. In many of these projects, including the Country Walk project, which is east of Martinsville Road and north of Savage Road in the southern portion of the township, there is a pre-assembled set of architectural models that builders who build within these projects present prior to kind of having the reins released for them to have construction throughout the project. Upland Homes is one of several builders, including Gilbert Homes, Infinity, and others that have built in the Country Walk subdivision over the years. And so as a planned residential development, as I said, these builders have different architectural models that they propose, and there are specific architectural standards that apply to these types of developments. And so for a little bit of history specifically about Country Walk, the Country Walk project was approved in 2005, amended in approved in 2002, amended in 2005, and then further clarification was given on the rules in this project when what's called a memorandum of understanding was created in 2015. So these rules outline the responsibilities of the builders and different parties within the project. And there's a planned residential development agreement that sets the terms of the original project. So those are some of the specific rules for this project and some of the specific history for this project. Additionally, the Van Buren Township zoning ordinance has rules guiding architectural standards in PRDs in section 5.115 of the zoning ordinance. So between the specific rules of the country walk development and the rules guiding architectural detail in section 5.115, there are comments that I would like to offer with respect to the presented house models by Upland Homes for your consideration tonight. And so the model that's being presented for your consideration, which I'll show on the screen in a little bit here, is called the 2100 model. I'll go through some of the basics really quickly of the model. It is a 2,100 square foot model, I think hence the name. It's a colonial style floor plan with variations in the facade of the building. And I want to briefly go over how the model relates to some of the requirements of this project, of the Country Walk project. So speaking briefly about the site plan that was provided for the overall project, lots in this development all have a required minimum rear and front yard setback of 25 feet and minimum side yard setbacks of 10 feet. The lot sizes in the development vary from 75 feet down to 61 feet in width, and there's a depth from 120 feet to 125 feet. Now, the proposed model dimensions of this unit are, as I said, it's 2,100 square feet, not including the garage and the basement. It's also 44 foot 8 inches wide by 41 foot 8 inches deep. And so it's a little bit different from a lot of the other models in the Upland Homes portfolio because it's a little bit wider than most. But that being said, the unit will not fit on any lot that is smaller than 64 foot 8 wide. So that's one of the conditions in my report, just to meet those side yard setbacks. Staff will review each application's plot plan, which is a individualized site plan when the models are proposed for construction. We'll review each plot plan to ensure the model will fit within the required 10-foot side yard setbacks. Moving on to talk a little bit more about the floor area. Again, this unit's floor area is 2,100 square feet. The subdivision has to average 1,750 square feet, so that standard is met. In the specific planned residential development agreement and then the subsequent MOU for this project, it is clarified that units in relation to their neighboring units have to vary in significant ways in terms of their relationship with the units on either side of them, within 3 lots on the same side of the street, as well as within 3 lots on the opposite side of the street. The 2 criteria that are specified for this project of the ways that they should have several variations are through either the roof pitch. The roof pitch should vary by 3 or more vertical units in 12 in relation to one another. So if you have a steep 12 on 12 roof on one lot, then it's okay to have a 6 on 12 roof on another lot next door, and that would count as one of your differences. Or more commonly, the units will vary with respect to at least 2 major design features on the building. And so those can be the way that the features relate to the mass of the building and might include dormer windows, use of a side entry garage instead of a front entry garage, and other features like porches And I'll go through at the end of this presentation, I'll go through how these models relate to those standards. So diving in a little bit more to those two categories, roof pitch and major design features. These models all have a, generally for the main roof, you're going to see a 6-on-12 gable roof. And then there's a little bit steeper of a pitch over some of the features like window rakes and garages, and then a 5-on-12 pitch over porches. So because among these variations of this model, the roof pitch won't be a determining factor in how they're different, then we need to look more at the location of the major design features. That's one thing that is worth mentioning, that this model, the 2100 model, has 3 different variations within it that are proposed. So there's a A, B, and a C. And so I'm speaking to the differences in these features among those 3 models. So with respect to those major design features, I have presented in your packet the other architectural models within the Upland Homes portfolio for this project, as well as the A, B, and C variations I just discussed. And you can see some of the differences. There are some other colonial floor plans from Upland Homes and from some of the other builders. But among those colonial floor plans, this model is substantially different from the others. And within the A, B, and C types, they are different from one another as well. I will just share what's already in your packet when I go over some of those differences briefly here. Put that on the screen. So what you see here is the A model. Like the B and the C model, you have the main roof pitch being a 6-on-12, but there's basically 3 big window openings in the front, and there's also the main placement of the door is sort of opposite the garage, closer to the opposite side of the home from the garage. But then each unit has differences with respect to their architectural detail. So on this A-type model, you have a rake over that center window, shorter porch roof, and then you have extended horizontal siding on the garage, but full vertical brick on the edges of the garage. And then if you go down to the B type, you're going to see similar roof and window proportions, but then you have a double rake on the upper windows. There's a longer porch, and then you have a little bit of a different garage design with that trim crossing the center of the garage, and the brick not extending all the way to the top. And then with the C-type unit, you have again similar roof and window proportions. Then you have a double rake on those upper windows, full length porch roof, and then the garage is full brick. So there are substantial differences in at least 2 regards with the architectural details on these 3 units. And then you might see additional variation with things like the color palette that's used. Color palette is not something that's really integral to the kind of the bones of the architecture. So that's not something we count in our zoning ordinance as being credited for differences, but that if the colors change, then that will be an additional difference that you'll see on these units. Moving on to one of the other standards in the zoning ordinance that all homes in planned residential developments need to meet. The building material on the facade elevation needs to be at least 50% brick, and that standard is met. And then the last thing I'd like to point out is that there need to be side entry garages on at least 30% of the units in the Country Walk subdivision. Those units are pre-assigned in the PRD agreement. And so those are preset units that I believe Mr. Kuntzman from Upland Homes, who's here tonight to speak, is aware of all those units and has been mindful of making sure that he's doing side entry garages where they're required. And so we have confidence that that requirement will also be met. So to conclude my statements, I would like to recommend conditional approval of the proposed site plan amendment to allow some units to be built under this 2100 model by Upland Homes. The conditions that I would recommend imposing are that township planning staff shall review each application for a new single-family home in the Country Walk development in order to determine that the new home meets the required setbacks and the elevation changes and the required substantially different architectural design standards set forth in the PRD agreement. I would also like to recommend that, again, with the wider unit here and some narrow lots in some cases, that staff will continue to check the home models to ensure there's a 10-foot side setback on each side when these units get built. So thank you for considering these recommendations. And I know that Phil Kuntzman from Upland Homes is here tonight to speak to his model as well. So I'm glad to answer any questions you have for me. And then Phil is also here to speak.
That's great. Thanks, Director Power. Let's hear from the applicant and then see if there's any questions or concerns for discussion. Mr. Kunzman?
And Mr. Kuntzman, you are on mute. Go.
Unmute. There we go. Are we better now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, nice. So we brought this in to bring in another colonial and a little bit of variation from what we have out there already. And we probably have 15 or 16 lots left over there, but I'm not quite sure how many of these we will build, but we'd like to have the opportunity to build a smaller colonial than what we have right now. So, and we made it a little bit wider just so it'll look actually bigger than the ones that we have out there right now. So, yeah.
That's great. Thanks. So homes are selling well. Is that what you're telling us?
They are selling, and they're selling well. We're just having a problem with materials right now and pricing, and that's a big issue for us right now. But yes, so definitely a market out there.
Great. Thank you. I understand. All right. I'll ask questions or comments from commissioners. Anyone?
Madam Chair, I have a question for Mr. Kuntzman.
Okay.
Commissioner Jar, go ahead.
I know the elevations submitted to us were in black and white. We didn't have a color palette. Were you planning on any significant changes to the color palette with this new model?
Well, not really. Typically, I think we have to stay with that in the master deed. I believe it calls with earth tones, but which is pretty vague. But we let the purchaser choose, along with guidance, what colors they would like, and then we have a chart of the existing homes, and we try to vary as much as possible what what's surrounding the home.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Commissioner Jar. Anyone else? Okay. Let me ask if there's anyone in the audience who has comments for this agenda item.
Through the chair.
Commissioner Bud?
Really not a question. I guess it's just more of a comment. A couple weeks ago, I drove out through there, and it's really kind of nice to see that most of it's being filled up. It looks nice out home. The homes look nice. The grass is green. It really looks nice out there. You're doing a good job.
Yeah, it's coming along.
It is.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that.
Good. Yeah, it's a very nice community.
All right. If there's no other comments or questions, are we ready for a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Kelly?
I move to grant the applicant Upland Homes an amendment to the Country Walk site plan for revised elevations based on the analysis and subject to the conditions detailed in the staff memorandum dated May 20th, 2021.
Thank you. Is there support?
Support.
Support, Commissioner Jar. And a roll call vote, please.
Sherry Budd,
Yes.
Medina Atchison,
Yes.
Brian Kelly,
Yes.
Brian Cullen,
Yes.
Jeff Jar,
Yes.
Carol Thompson.
Yes. So the motion carries. You have your approval, and we wish you continued success with sales and also with your supplies and your materials. Thanks very much for your time tonight.
Well, thank you very much. I'm back.
Right, moving on into tonight's agenda, we are to general discussion and updates. I'll go to Director Power first. Anything that you have to share with us?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The agenda for June 9th is still a little vague, as it usually is 2 weeks out. So I will keep everybody posted, and appreciate your participation in all these meetings. But I know there was a question from Commissioner Atchison, and I think that's a great opportunity to share an up-to-date version of what we have on our website that will help to give you at least a high-level view of the development in the township, and then I'll speak to the specific question about residential development. So let me just go to the good old front page of the website here, and then I'll show you. Recently, we have updated our interface on the website, so I'm going to scroll and let me know if I'm making you dizzy. But if you go down to the building, planning, and economic development part of the main website, if you click on the development, planning, and zoning maps, we've been trying to keep the Planning Commission activities accessible on this page. And then this is a version of what we had earlier this year with the annual Planning Commission activities report. So the first thing you'll see on that site is going to be kind of a status screen of the different development projects in the township. If you want to look at the legend, you can see, you have to scroll down, but you can see what the different diamonds mean. So if projects are just in a preliminary review stage and you folks on the Planning Commission haven't even seen them yet, we might put those up on the map if they're looking like a formal application. And those projects are going to be kind of that white diamond. And then you go into we call prior to final site plan review are the red diamonds. Pre-construction, where the Planning Commission has reviewed these projects and or they're administratively reviewed and they're ready for construction, but construction hasn't begun yet. And then you have the green diamonds are under construction, and then recently completed projects are black. And so, and I actually misspoke. The very first category, the white diamonds, are those that you have seen in a preliminary stage, but not the final stage. So that is to say, there is still a lot of activity in the township. I would say, compared with the beginning of the year, more that is under construction and less that is pending your review right now, although there are several projects that might be coming through as far as what's kind of in the pipeline for a final decision by the Planning Commission. There's less of those yellow and red diamonds than there were earlier this year, but there's probably more of the green ones. So you have a lot of industrial construction. The AD Transport up on Yost Road, which was approved actually back in 2019, is under construction. You have the Ashley Crossroads North and the Neapco building sites, as well as the Ashley Crossroads South trailer parking lot. There's some construction activity occurring at DTE where they're doing some resurfacing. Project Sycamore here. Then you get more into the commercial development on Belleville Road. The pending, and this isn't commercial, the pending senior housing project, Clover, and then Hampton Manor. Here are these two. This one here is Clover. This one here is Hampton Manor. Clover, of course, being the independent housing development on Belleville Road. Hampton Manor being the assisted living one on the corner of Morton Taylor and Tyler Roads. Those are both at kind of different ends of that final site plan review stage. We think the Hampton Manor project, you'll see the very final version of that soon, and then construction Clover is going to be a little longer out. And then I'll point out, I didn't go over everything, but that gives you the idea of what you're looking at on this map. If you click on the diamond, you may have access to the plans depending on what stage of the project we're in. So this little pop-up window for Clover will tell you how to get to the plans if you click on this link, and a description of the project and some basic information about the project. So this is a relatively up-to-date portal that shows you the progress of development in the township. Specifically for residential development, though, that's a good question. There are a couple of projects we gave an update about a long time ago now, probably 6 or 8 months ago, that it's worth updating you on again. So the first one, they happen to be at opposite ends of the township. So the first one is Victoria Estates Phase 2. This is a project that was originally started in, I want to say 2008, in the first phase, or maybe it was 2006. Then there was some delay, of course, with the recession and some other reasons for pause in that project. But last year, this project was finally ready to start in its second phase. So that's actually under construction right now. You have most of the street network is paved. The mass grading was done a long time ago. The utilities are now constructed, water, sewer, and stormwater. And we actually have a lot of building permits approved in this project already. The builder has not began digging a lot of foundations yet or building a lot yet here, but they are beginning construction here, and there will be a lot of housing units, up to 67 housing units in this project. And so that one is underway, and we know houses are imminent here. The plans are accessible again if you click that link. We'll have to fix that because that's the incorrect plans there, but I'll make sure that we fix that one. But if you go down to the southwest corner of the township, and Commissioner Atchison, you mentioned Huron River Drive, there's a couple of different areas of Huron River Drive where we might see development. Another project that we know there will be single family homes at is the third phase of what's called Cobblestone Creek, which is west of Elwell on the south side of West Huron River Drive. That project, Cobblestone Creek Phase 3, we're going to have a pre-construction meeting any day now. There were just some design adjustments to some of the utilities in this area that are still being worked through because the original permit for all the water and sewer was quite some time ago when the first couple of phases went in. So they're going through some details on that construction right now, but we think there will be a pre-construction meeting within probably the next couple of weeks, and then construction hopefully soon thereafter. So that's another 69 detached single family homes. There is another project over on the other end of Huron River Drive that I think a gentleman was asking about at a recent meeting. The conditional rezoning, which followed the text amendment for a different style of housing over here at the peninsula at 41620 East Huron River Drive. That's still on hold right now. There's still kind of a preliminary application in, but the applicant is still adjusting and refining his application at this point. So to date, there's no formal submittal for the Planning Commission to look at there, but both in these still active subdivisions, Country Walk, Cobblestone Creek Phase 2, Phase 3, Victoria Estates Phase 2, there are a lot of building permits that are coming through or will be coming through soon. And we also have a lot of people asking about building on unplatted lots in the south part of the township as well. So there's a lot of residential construction. The demand seems to still be very high, but as you heard from Mr. Kunzman tonight, the supply chain might be affected and some of the pricing might be affected, and that might be impacting the pace of building a little bit. But yeah, there's still a lot of residential construction, and this is the site where you'll generally go to see the overall development in the township. We also now have on the same site a version of our zoning map and a version of our future land use map from the recently adopted master plan, both of which are also interactive. So if you go into either of those tabs and you search an address, let's say Township Hall, you'll be able to zoom in, and hopefully my pop-up window works this time. But if you click on our Township Hall here, you'll see the zoning district that it's in. And if you want to know what that means in terms of what uses are permitted there and what the setbacks are and what the sizes of the buildings can be there and such, you would click on that link and it would bring you to a pop-up window with that section of the zoning ordinance. So these are things we've been developing for a while, and they're now all on one page. So that might be more information than you wanted to know, but at least now you know where to find that.
That's great. Great demonstration. Thanks, Director Powers. Anything else for general discussion from the commission? Any commissioners? Okay. Anything else from staff?
That's it for me. Guess just hope everybody has a safe Memorial Day weekend, and I'll let you know about the June 9th date if we're having a meeting then as soon as I
Great. Let me double check. Anyone in the audience have anything for general discussion? Hearing none.
can. The hands raised.
Through the
Okay.
chair, I'd make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank Commissioner Bud. Support?
Or
Mr. Cullen, support. All in favor, say aye.
Hi,
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We're adjourned.
thanks, everyone.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend.
Thank
Have a great night, everyone.